The Newsline.
Hello and welcome back to People's TV. In this video commentary, we aim to shed light on the untold story of an incident that occurred in Sri Lanka's Arugam Bay, which radical Muslims and pro-Hamas media outlets have misrepresented. By now, you are likely aware that 2 Israeli tourists were arrested by police in Arugam Bay for assaulting 2 locals. While this was clearly an isolated incident, its isolated nature did not prevent pro-Hamas outlets like the Newswire and the Daily Mirror from exploiting it to incite radical Islamists and pro-Hamas sympathizers among Sri Lankans against Israeli tourists. A friend who watched the footage noted that the accused tourists might not be Jews but Arabs holding Israeli citizenship. Just like Sri Lanka, which is home to diverse communities, Sinhalese, Muslims, Tamils, and Burghers, Israel is also multi-ethnic and multicultural, with Arabs, Druze, and Gypsies living alongside Jews. Now, imagine a Tamil-speaking Sri Lankan traveling abroad who gets arrested for misconduct in public. The media in that country would not specify that a Tamil was arrested, they would simply report that a Sri Lankan was arrested for misbehavior in a public place. A person's nationality is determined by the passport they hold, not by their ethnicity. Unfortunately, many so-called journalists either don't know this fact or deliberately twist the facts, ignoring that not every Israeli passport holder is a Jew. Their efforts to spin an isolated incident into a story that disgraces all Israeli tourists and the State of Israel reveal the depth of their animosity toward Israel. Now, let's assume for a moment that the culprits were indeed Jews. What was the outcome? Aside from 2 people sustaining minor injuries, no one was killed. Yet, pro-Hamas Sri Lankans, including radical Islamic politicians like Mujibur Rahman, have used this incident as an opportunity to demand that the government revoke visas for Israeli tourists and ban them from entering the country. Now, let's consider the Easter Sunday attacks carried out by radical Islamic terrorists in Sri Lanka in 2019. The attacks claimed 270 lives and left over 500 people injured, with some sustaining permanent disabilities. Among the dead were 45 tourists, 3 police officers, and 8 suicide bombers. We would like to ask the so-called peaceful protesters, who are now demonstrating against the State of Israel, where was your outrage when the bombs went off on Easter Sunday 2019? They have taken a personal conflict in Arugam Bay and blown it out of proportion, turning a molehill into a supposed threat to national security. Where was Mujibur Rahman when those bombs went off in 2019? At the time, he dismissed concerns, saying not to find crocodiles in a teacup. Not a single Muslim politician stepped forward to demand justice for the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks. However, when Rashad Bathayuddin, a member of parliament, was arrested in connection with the attacks, these politicians protested his arrest and that of many other suspects, demanding their release. Today, radical movements blame the Rajapaksa regime, but the Rajapaksas were able to capitalize on the situation because Islamic extremism was already present in the country. The same people who downplayed the Easter Sunday attacks, a national tragedy, now seek to exaggerate an isolated incident in the Arugam Bay area and turn it into a propaganda tool. Sri Lankans need to be prudent and vigilant in recognizing the dangers hidden behind these inconsistent patterns. On the other hand, if there is a genuine threat to Sri Lanka's national security, whether from Israeli tourists or any other group, we do not need radical Islamists in this country lecturing us on how to protect it. Let us remind them that those who cry wolf are sometimes actually wolves in sheep's clothing. We would also like to caution the so-called journalists who report in a way that whitewashes Hamas and other radical Islamic terror organizations around the world. Let me also recall another incident that took place in the Arugam Bay area on August. An Israeli tourist was nearly robbed by a tuk-tuk driver, and in trying to protect himself, the tourist jumped out of the moving vehicle and sustained injuries. However, neither the Newswire nor the Daily Mirror Online reported a word about the incident, most likely because the victim was a Jewish citizen and the perpetrator was a Muslim. In conclusion, many parties are trying to turn a molehill into a mountain. However, not all Sri Lankans can be deceived in this way, and at People's TV, we will do everything necessary to expose the lies and reveal the truth. If this report helped you see the situation on the ground clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to People's TV, where truth has no agenda, and facts speak louder than spin.
Subscribe us for more details.